Oh man, it didn't take much to get into the number one slot that year, I guess. Reminds me of a reminds me of, the forest odd EDM, we'll call it. Electronic dance music from the late 80s and early 90s. It reminds me of like a vacation. Like you fly into an island. They've got this, they call it a discotheque or something. And that's pumping. And there's pina coladas around. And you don't care how gay the music sounds. Doesn't matter. It's a holiday. What a crazy last month in this case. Can you believe that until last night I really hadn't paid much attention to Deception Detective, and I went over and checked out his content because something stood out to me. I stopped into Justin's live stream. He was talking real over there last night. It was pretty funny. He had a marathon live stream too. But I went over and I checked him out because I haven't near focused enough on all of the clips from Global News. Very rarely. And there is this little, excuse me, there is 9 seconds. There is 9 seconds, the first 9 seconds of Deception Detective is a story all in of itself. And it's funny to go back and listen to it 7, 8, 9 months later. Excuse me, all the hell. So I have to show you that clip. And it has everything to do with your buddy Kent Corbett. Fucking guy. His little cameo. Well, they're Pictou County's children now, Kent. Kent and his advocacy group. His advocacy group for Daniel and Janie. What a difference 7 months makes. What's going on, Sweet Tea? Hello, everybody in chat. Oh, you're wondering about the message on my... I had to pop that up because I snipped it. And a lot of these little ones I snip, sometimes I forget to talk about. But yeah, this Dolores Sherman 9279 playing Double Agent in my comments. Oh, just needing to talk under everybody's statements. Then I catch her calling me a racist pig. Who am I racist towards, I wonder? This is sort of hate and anger that's lashing out towards me. I don't. Who does that misspell? Like anybody in your peripheral from recently? I love insults with misspellings. That's fucking hilarious. It's so nasty though, God. Just rattles around in my mind all night. Oh, tree. Listen, that's not rude at all. You should see some of this stuff. But it was under one of... What video was that under? Calling me a racist pig. Fuck of? What's fuck of? Maybe she's a real super fan. Maybe she's threatening me with a good time. Maybe she's aggressive. Oh, I see the good comments. Just a clapping seal. But you can't get away from some of the finer ones. I have to move. Excuse me. Oh, Sammy, good morning. That's so nice of you, Sammy Miami. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection. What's the craziest thing that's going on out there right now? You know, I have to make mention a little bit of the talk about Trish at Web Sleuths before we get started with Jack and Lily today. That was really interesting. I was over at Every Day with Jay, checking out her. She was doing a reading from a court case that had to do with how she was operating Web Sleuths, because she has a post, like an internet posting room, and it's fairly old. It's been around for quite some time. But it looks like she ran into problems when she tried to turn it into a pyramid scheme. That's what it looks like. The way she says it's described, not that there's any sort of order, that's kind of the point, but when you have a situation like that and you say, okay, you're going to go to your friend and say, you know what, for $12,000 you can buy in and I'm going to give you a 50% stake of whatever, A Balance or Clutch Them Pearls or whatever you want. Or Bonnie D up 5687. And there's nothing seemingly tied or associated with it. Here, give me 11 grand. I'll say you have 50%. There's no real contract. It turns into a pyramid scheme real quick. And that's exactly what the case was really about. There's real issues in what was going on with the finances from it. And it was interesting nonetheless. I loved Trisha. I loved watching her because she was a place where people would go in that sense. So she was already well known in we'll call it the true crime community, right? From people frequenting web sleuths, web forum. And when you search, a lot of the stuff that you search would probably take you, whether you realized it or not, to Trisha's website. Oh, sweet tea. Thank you very much. I love you the most. Well, let's not get carried away. Love is good, though. We need to spread more love. We have to get that out of the way before we get started. I keep wanting to... I don't want to skip over topics. We'll get to that. You know, Trisha was really... She's integrated in that sense. She's really integrated with what she does with web sleuths into real life, in her everyday. And it's easy to cross lines in that sense, but we're not talking about her history and past so much, or the recent controversy about it. It's interesting nonetheless. Allegations are she's making this attempt at one of her friend's former estates, and she was quite wealthy, quite well-to-do. That's how all of this started arising. Well, I'm eager to listen to more. But I already see people leaving comments. I got a Ann0077, who's cool. She's been around here forever. She had to chime in and say her piece. We're not hating on her. It's just what people are talking about. I mean, there's a reason that people are talking about it, but I'm not saying that automatically makes her guilty of everything. I mean, I see Trisha as... many people could consider Trisha an old school grifter in that sense. But, you know, I guess that would be a negative way of looking at things. The jury's still out in my mind in that sense. What's going on, Amy? Oh, there you are. You know, I appreciate, because it's just, you know, people get all caught up in the people that they watch. I'm not at all saying Trisha's this evil fucking person, because of course she's got an army around her that helps deny everything, and everything's plausible in that sense. Of course there's a reason why you're doing this in particular to your friend's estate. Even, listen, if she's been down there in Dallas for God knows how long, having let's say help with her living in that sense, no matter how high of a percentage it is, she obviously had a really close relationship with this person. And that's fascinating to me. Like, the whole dynamic is fascinating. It's not this, I want you to make sure that you don't think it's this pile on and this anger and rage. Yeah, it's not nice. Really, what she's doing is being audited by everybody. Or not everybody, I'm generalizing. But what they're doing is showing you a pattern of behavior, history in that sense. And yeah, listen, what Trisha was doing is a grift. But it's one that historically has been what's it? I'm sure looking for a kind word. A grift's a grift is what many people would just argue. And there's no getting away from that. And even Trisha tells you she's got to do certain things a certain way to remind people that she needs donations to keep things going. And within that little ball of confusion, you're hoping to reach a lot more people than less, in hopes that you're not just going to reach your goal, but you're going to far exceed it. Anyway, but this particular yesterday over there was particularly interesting. I was right into it. It's like reading somebody's note in class. She's into her content in that sense, but listen, people are furious back and forth. People are having their hearts broken in real time. That's never a good thing. The fallout is disastrous because it divides people. But people need a reality check from time to time, and it's never pretty. How do you get yourself in that position? When you put yourself out there like Trisha does, did you do anything wrong, so to speak? You know, like historically leading up to it. People willingly gave her donations, and they knew what it is that they wanted to be a part of and participate in, most likely. Unless, of course, there's evidence for anything else. Anyway, yesterday got into her practices, her financial practices, and I mean, even describing it was more of a description that she gave. Which is going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem because she's promised what she was doing in this. Is it Griffith versus... I'll help you. I forget the poor girl's name now. It starts with an S. Her last name, I believe. Anyway. I should just read you the breakdown of it. I'm just going off my memory. Well, that's what part of this case is exposing over on Every Day with Jay. You know Jay's for Justice? Sweet Teas asks, we know how she moved behind the scenes. Well, it seems like she made a lot of promises and she was the only one benefiting from it. And it never really blossomed into the promised multi-level marketing scheme that really was laid out. I mean, it's one of those situations. It wasn't a multi-market. I'm just comparing it to one. Because you promised somebody 50%, you know, can you imagine sitting around with your buddy drinking at a table when you're 7? And promising like half your business just because you're drunk buddies right now. You know, well, give me $11,000 and, you know, I'll consider it. Well, where's the contracts? Where does all this get legal? Oh, it doesn't. So there's in the beginning there's talk, okay, we were say averaging $3,000 profit a month on this YouTube channel. Well, Trisha was going to remain, you know, taking that draw off the profits from this Web Sleuths business of theirs. And anything above and beyond the $3,000 was, how do you want to say it? Here, let me read it to you, Sweet Tea. I'm too tired of looking for nice things to say. The key themes and patterns, the chronic grifting, and these are the allegations, money solicitation. Trisha posts near identical urgent appeals across years claiming the site will shut down without donations. Oh, we're going to go dark. Just aggressive and passive, like dry begging. Old member complaints from 2013. Like this is going back before that too. describe her as using friendships like life talk or emergencies to extract money, then throwing people under the bus. Sweet Tea, who does that remind you of? We're thinking our experience is the exact same. Not with web sleuths, but in different communities, different true crime communities especially. Think about Bombshell Reloaded. and whose community she was associated with. Well, she's being accused of doing the same things in that sense. I think it's just sometimes the nature of the beast when you have that grift going on. I mean, that's the point. And you, Jen, you know what we're talking about. Most of you probably do out there. But the old things associated with Molly Golightly's community. But I mean, it was all about getting a bunch of like-minded people together and then dropping that question on, whether it be in voice chat. And it always has to do with controlling something, like, for example, gifts or helping. Oh, this person's having a problem in the background. I'm collecting $40, $50. Can I get you to, to contribute? Oh, it's going to look very good. Then she turns around and love bombs the hell out of this person. And who gets all the credit? Not anybody that you collected from, honey. It was so bizarre, but things like that are going on in this situation, allegedly. Jay was arguing it was a 10-year plus pattern that continued even after big payouts. $11K from Sue for 50% site ownership. Jesus. I mean, it doesn't take much for this Trisha in that sense. God bless her. She's all about making the transactions. Everything in her life must be transactional. Heaven's sakes. She's a hustler. She's pimping. Trisha admits her understanding of the business agreement was she could take $3,000 a month from Web Sleuth's Chase PayPal account, then pay expenses. For example, the server, Skype out of it. Leftover money was supposed to eventually go to Sue. 50-50 split once profitable. What? The money past the $3,000 is a 50-50 split? What the fuck is in it for this Sue? You got rug pulled in your own business. What the hell is in it for this Sue? And this is where why we're reading this case. So, excuse me. I appreciate you, Nene. She repeatedly received large gifts and loans from members. $4,000 from Mike, $3,600, $500. Well, good for her. Like, if people love you that much, more power to them, or to you. But there's more to this, it seems. Trying to dismiss everything off. This is like an audit into somebody's hustle. I guess that's what happens when it's YouTube, right? Man, oh man. She repeatedly received large gifts and loans from members. It lists them out. There's like five examples. After discussing personal hardships. She's working on that sympathy bone. Like bills and medication, food on credit, broken AC, moldy shower, car tires, moldy shower. Oh, shit. How far do you want to push that? That's funny. Oh, I'm sorry. It's funny to read. Excuse me. It's not funny that it happened. I'm sorry. Got my imagination going. I'm going to make a claim. I've got some mildew going on. Semantics Defense claims Trisha never asked or solicited. She only accepted offers. The depot lawyer presses her on subtle and overt solicitation. Per Web Sleuth's own rules against it. Well, that would be immoral, unethical. Sadly, I don't think that there was a trustee designated to maintain the ethics behind the business. I wonder how many more people you could have talked into $11,000 50-50 partnerships. It was almost profitable, but maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, this is predatory in that sense. Sweet tea. It's predatory at the end of the day. Even though we're laughing a little bit and snickering. Well, that's what all the hubbub is about, And it's hard at this point in time for anybody, to say that they don't know Trish or they don't know of web sleuths in this situation, especially if you've been around for a little bit. And it's a real lesson for some of the illusions. It's just how it goes. Overdrafts and NSF fees even after receiving $11,000 from Sue. Business and personal funds blurred. Used web sleuths PayPal for personal eBay, iPad sales, and ad revenue. So Trish's defense was, she claims she never asked or solicited. She only accepted offers. The depot lawyer presses her on subtle versus overt solicitation, right? She admits handling money and taxes are not my strong suit. Well, that's gracious. See? Oh, the real Norbeaster. I should probably take that off. Sorry, I'm distracted. Reading this, I apologize. I should take that off. I'm sending out a bad vibe. Hold on. We'll just put up Trisha Griffith. She's a rhinestone cowboy. Who's that, Don Campbell? Speaking about Don Campbell and people who can play guitar and people who can play guitar, like Lobster Claw Kent Corbett. There he is. I'm going to share this link with you so you can go and check it out in the future. Let me see. I'm switching topics. Excuse me, darling. The hell's going on? One moment, please. Here we go. See that? We're going to watch Kent's Cameo. But here's the link because it's just right. This is Deception Detective. God bless Kent. He's one of God's little helpers. So this is from August 27th, 2025. Seems like ages ago. And the first thing that gave me a boner, we'll say in this, that tantalized me, was the fact that this deception detective, regardless of his content, he's fantastic, by the way, but he's got a sense of humor. Absolutely, he's got a sense of humor. Mind you, he is just responding to the clips. But he went out of his way to open up with Kent Corbett. So that tells me already he sees what I see. And I'm kind of happy in a way that I didn't really pay attention to him for the last It's not like I didn't know him. It's just I didn't watch his content because you're too in tune with what it is you're doing, right? But now that I went over and I watched a couple, it's really fucking funny. It's really funny. Great talking points. But he's a great statement analysis, dude. You can't ignore this guy. Impossible. I didn't know when people come in my chat asking me if I know about him because we wore the same glasses in that sense, for the artificial light. I'm like, no. But now I get you. So thanks for coming in here. Let me know. You never watched him, Sweet Tea? You're going to love it. But we have to watch this. Only because old Kent lives right at Corbett Lane there. He's coming out. Hold on. Let me see. Can it go back far enough? There it goes. I'm having a problem with my mouse. Excuse me. Just give it a second. I guess it's not important. Why does it keep disappearing on me?
Case dragged on. He knew he had to do something to keep their story at the forefront of the news cycle.
I approached Advocate Printing and said that we wanted a deal on...
Right. Right at the, it won't come up from the beginning again. Son of a bitch.
What?
I'll have to do this the hard way.
Some election style signs.
As Lily and Jack's case dragged on, he knew he had to do something to keep their story at the forefront of the news cycle.
I approached Advocate Printing and said that we wanted a deal on making up some election style signs, and we went from there.
Over the last week, his advocacy group has been fulfilling sign orders, with all proceeds going towards search and rescue and funding.
Oh, his advocacy group, eh? Another partial truth. Your advocate for Janie and Daniel. Thanks, Kent. Thank you, Kent. Remember Janie? Oh, he's a Janie and Daniel advocate. He's all over the fucking place in this too. And you're offering up every simp opportunity to get up on people's live streams and bullshit them to death about just how innocent Daniel and Malaya and Janie are in all of this at this point in time. Yeah, I'm going to run you down that hill at a slightly steeper angle.
Do something to keep their story at the forefront of the news cycle.
I approached Advocate Printing and said that we wanted a deal on making up some election style signs, and we went from there.
Over the last week, his advocacy group has been fulfilling sign orders, with all proceeds going towards search and rescue and funding more awareness materials. Some of the children's family members have ordered signs for their yards as well.
The fact that Lily and Jack's family is being less proactive than a random neighbor concerns me, but that's nothing compared to...
Yeah, it's concerning, but it's all designed to be that way. You got no sound, Nini? Try refreshing. You guys don't have sound? Really? It was cutting out? Hold on. I don't have any warnings. Says everything's good. Try refreshing. Let me know if it keeps it up. Yeah, it's working good now, Genova? All right. Well, sorry about that, guys. That's how it goes. It just buffered for a second. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was you. I don't see anything wrong necessarily, but okay. All right, man. Fly on the wheel. Fronted chic. Good to see you. Welcome in, darling.
With all proceeds going towards
some election style signs, and we went from there.
Over the last week, his advocacy group has been fulfilling sign orders, with all proceeds going towards search and rescue and funding more awareness materials. Some of the children's family members have ordered signs for their yards as well.
The fact that Lily and Jack's family is being less proactive than a random neighbor concerns me, but that's nothing compared to the allegations of substance abuse, domestic violence, child neglect, and CPS visits. So in today's video, let's continue unpacking the Globe and Mail's bombshell investigation into the family and counting the red flags.
I'm good, Brenda. Oh, Kent. That's all on behalf of Daniel and Janie and Malaya. You and Darren. So someone was telling me that Darren's wife's last name was Corbett. Or his former wife, his old wife, his ex-wife, Jordan's mom. Is that true? What could be a lie? Who knows? But that's what I heard. People are talking about that.
I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For exclusive videos, early access to new videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. If you missed my last two videos, there are linked below because this is actually my third video on the Globe and Mail expose. So there's just one quick thing I want to show you before we dive back in, and it's the rest of that news report, because I think the media is also starting to lose patience with this investigation.
Nearly 4 months ago, Lily and Jack Sullivan, ages 6 and 4, went missing from their home in Lansdowne Station. In a statement to Global News Thursday, RCMP say intensive investigative work is ongoing in relation to the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, and tips continue to be received. We now have over 700 and are evaluated and prioritized by a dedicated team of investigators in the Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit with the assistance of agencies from across Canada.
We've had this in the past on a different disaster, the Westray disaster, and everybody descended on us there, and that's not something we want. But in this case, when two little ones go missing, everybody is really keen on finding those children so they can get them home safe and sound.
Kent Corbett's family has lived in Pictou County for generations. As Lily and Jack's case dragged on, he knew he had to do something to keep their story at the forefront of the news cycle.
The more people that are thinking about these kids every day will be the greater chance that we have to be able to bring them home.
Lily and Jack attended Salt Springs Elementary. As the new school year approaches, their school district says, "We have..."
The only thing I heard, Kent, was this tool on my fucking screen talking about how much they think about kids. That's about right. You and Darren probably think all about kids every time you're snooping on them, licking your ice creams at the splash pads.
School psychologists, counselors, and regional support staff ready to help any students who are finding it challenging to be back on site at the school without the presence of their peers.
When those kids get back in the classroom to their teacher, it's going to be, did anybody find Jack and Lily? Kids that age aren't going to understand that the adults are doing everything they can. I wouldn't want to be that teacher.
What a fucking idiot. I wouldn't want to be that teacher. He's just such a concerned do-gooder. You're not even that. Stranger danger. Kent's in town. That just makes me sick listening to that son of a bitch. Who the fuck insists on getting in front of everybody if you weren't there already to be a distraction? That's exactly what you did that point. Man, oh man, oh man.
School without the presence of their peers.
When those kids get back in the classroom to their teacher, it's going to be, did anybody find Jack and Lily? Kids that age aren't going to understand that the adults are doing everything they can. I wouldn't want to be that teacher having to.
Whoops, excuse me there. I was yelling to a microphone, no sound. It's probably better for you, Kent. Did Kent even know the children? No. Just a clapping seal? No. Absolutely not. What a fucking weirdo. God damn. Timing, Kent.
To explain that.
But Corbett says the community is still holding on to hope.
They're Pictou County's children now.
So that's the update, and I agree that the case is dragging on, and
Why
I
is
even
that,
agree
Ken?
that they're Pictou
They're never
County's
coming
children
back?
now, because their actual parents don't seem to be doing anything to claim them. Now let's get back into the Globe and Mail expose and pick up where we left off. Just like parts 1 and 2, I'm using AI to read out the relevant parts of it to us so we can react in real time.
I never thought they would run off on me like that, she wrote. I'm so distraught. Hours later,
Julia.
and still no sign of the children, Malaya floated the idea that Jack and Lily were abducted. Many are suspecting they were picked up by somebody, she texted Belinda, 'cause there is no trace of them or Lily's backpack. In the mid-afternoon, a non-encrypted radio channel crackled with voices of emergency responders. Families brought us to a location not far away. There's a piece of a blanket which the mother says she believes belongs to her daughter, radioed an official. Emergency responders dispatched a canine unit to the site, where they seized Lily's pink blanket, torn and wound around the lower branches of a spruce. It was about 1 kilometre from the mobile home. When a police officer asked Daniel about the pink blanket, he said it wasn't Lily's at first.
Lily and Jack's parents contradicted each other about whether or not the pink blanket found in the woods actually belonged to Lily, and that concerns me. Any reasonable person would have understood just how important accuracy is in that sort of situation. If it doesn't belong to Lily and you say it does, you might have just allocated all the police's resources to a red herring. And if it does belong to Lily and you say it doesn't, you might have just cost your kid their best chance of getting discovered within the first 48 hours. So the contradiction, at a minimum, suggests that at least one of them is being flippant with the facts. But at the worst, it might suggest that they're both hoaxers and they didn't have an opportunity.
At snack time, she's always...
Yogurt commercials. Yeah, that's right on the money. But I went and screwed it up by hitting the wrong button on my mouse. Idiot.
Blanket, which the mother says she believes belongs to her daughter, radioed an official. Emergency responders dispatched a canine unit to the site, where they seized Lily's pink blanket, torn and wound around the lower branch.
It's so interesting to think back about that situation, and you screwed yourself. By the looks of it, you caught yourself up, Danny. Because after he denied it having anything to do or being related to Lily's blanket, he had this long, elaborate story about the garbage bag with Janie and going and seeing the big hole in the side of it where somebody, he says, tore into it and pulled the blanket out from the garbage. Yeah, it's about as inconsistent of a claim as you can get. And it all started with him being contradictory to Malaya and their identification of what it is. Well, what attracted it to you in the first place? So you can't help but think that maybe Daniel went and planted it himself in order to give reason why people need to be looking in the direction of the pipeline, like away from Garlock Road, like planting a red herring in that sense. You can't help but think like that.
Branches of a spruce. It was about 1 kilometre from the mobile home. When a police officer asked Daniel about the pink blanket, he said it wasn't Lily's at first.
Lily and Jack's parents contradicted each other about whether or not the pink blanket found in the woods actually belonged to Lily, and that concerns me. Any reasonable person would have understood just how important accuracy is in that sort of situation. If it doesn't belong to Lily and you say it does, you might have just allocated all the police's resources to a red herring. And if it does belong to Lily and you say...
Oh yeah, you got that right. Malaya hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt yet. Well, that ship has long sailed. There's no giving her the benefit of any doubt at this point in time. We know too much about the scenario.
It doesn't, you might have just cost your kid their best chance of getting discovered within the first 48 hours. So the contradiction, at a minimum, suggests that at least one of them is being flippant with the facts. But at the worst, it might suggest that they're both hoaxers and they didn't have an opportunity to script their answers to this one question because it was unanticipated. Maybe the blanket didn't belong to Lily, but Malaya, being an opportunist, understood how good it would be to say that it was, because it would send the police down the wrong path. Meanwhile, Daniel, without an opportunity to script his answer with Malaya, said it wasn't. Or vice versa, the blanket actually was Lily's, and Malaya understood that the police could eventually determine that, so she might as well just own up to it now.
Whoopsie.
And Daniel decided to say it was.
Whoopsie. Nobody gives a fuck about your opinion if you're coming in here saying that Malaya deserves the benefit of the doubt. Go have your opinion, Christine, up with your friends, Kent and Derwood. All of your knobs. You're not coming in here to do anything but be a turd. Oh, yeah, well, I can't wait to hear what Christine has to say. Go fuck yourself. Get lost. Be stupid. Go be stupid up in Facebook groups or something.
Wasn't. Whatever the case, the parents of missing children contradicting each other about one of the only pieces of physical evidence that might suggest where their kid is a giant red flag. But believe it or not, it's not even the biggest red flag in this part of the expose. Let's keep listening.
Police began pounding on doors into the early hours of the next morning. They came to the door of Daniel's father, Earl Martell, a retired tire plant worker who lives atop a hill in a bungalow he built himself 40 years ago. Officers peered with flashlights into the corners of his living room, jumbled with the craft supplies and Hot Wheels of Daniel's 2 school-aged biological children who often visit on weekends. Earl guided police into the yard, to old campers and a derelict log cabin filled with junk, and to Daniel's older model black sedan in need of repairs he couldn't afford. Police also banged on the door of the home of the children's paternal grandmother Belinda in Middle Muscadobit, about half an hour from Lansdowne. They were looking to talk to her son, who had been living there for the last 9 months after losing his roofing job. But Cody Sullivan hadn't seen Jack and Lily since he and
Maybe Cody can call Anita. Maybe Anita and her Jamie can go and work for her. You can indenture Cody. Get a younger man, too.
Malaya separated 3 years ago. He'd cut ties after she filed for full custody of the children. Through the night, search and rescue volunteers combed the woods, and helicopters and drones that can detect body heat scanned overhead. Malaya was up too, texting with Belinda. "I have reason to believe they may have been taken by someone," she wrote. "They should have found them by now if they were in the woods." The next morning, Belinda set out to help search for her grandchildren. Over the last 2 years, Malaya had distanced herself from Belinda. She stopped bringing the children to visit, later explaining that Daniel was jealous and didn't want her going there or giving out the address. The grandmother said she had never been invited to the house.
You're not missing much.
Wow, she says she thought, as she stepped inside to speak to Malaya. Everything she saw, from the junk-strewn yard to the cluttered kitchen, was the total opposite of the neat and tidy woman she used to know. "What happened?" she asked. Malaya opened the low, rumbling, sliding patio door in the kitchen, demonstrating how she assumed the children quietly left the home while she and Daniel were sleeping. "Well, Malaya," Belinda recalled saying, "you're the mum. You know these kids better than anybody. So where do you feel they'd go? What would take their interest? What direction would they go?" She had no idea.
Let's recap the cast of characters because I think...
How desperate of a situation do you think that you're in? That really sounds like a parent who's desperate to get their child back. You've all of a sudden got no idea and you need everybody to fill in the blanks for you and finish the story. Yeah, massive hoax, and he's using the perfect word for it too. They're perpetrating a hoax. You called the RCMP and the first 3 statements were a lie, Malaya. Good to see you, Michelle. Together they can't talk. 1 and 1, they aren't going to leave a paper trail. Am I reading that right? Together they can't talk. 1 and 1, they aren't going to leave a paper trail. I can't believe she did that to Belinda in that sense. What a situation to be put in. Then having to deal with all kinds of fucking weirdos. I have to go back to Lori's comments, sorry. They're both IR, that's why they couldn't remember anything about the night before. They didn't have the mentality to get their script right. Well, or it was beyond the script in that sense. You mean with the blanket? Good point, Lori. Yeah, you got it. You got the point. It's my fault for not being able to read your comment because my chat is half hidden. And I can't click and slide. There's something going on with my fucking mouse. Flipping out.
I think you'll see my point before I even make it. First, we have Daniel, the stepfather, who besides having to take care of Malaya, who's unemployed, has to take care of Jack, Lily, Meadow, and his 2 biological children.
Well, that's a bit of a stressor. Hopefully she's not expecting anything this month. Or the foreseeable future. Holy shit. Think about that. When is that bottle gonna pop? You've got an ex with 2 biological kids. You have a responsibility. Probably wasn't. It sounded like the kids came over often. There's evidence of it, over at Earl's especially. But I mean the financial responsibility. So if he's not working and he's got no way of bringing this money in, how is his biological kids' lives affected by that? Now, so include Jack and Lily, and now he's got Meadow on the way. We got some serious priority issues at hand because he's got an addiction, and that's prioritized above and beyond anything that the kids see. All of them. Norbeaster, it doesn't surprise me. People are vindictive and unstable down here. Not all of them. Yeah, well, the thing is, with Nova Scotia in that sense, is that it's lacking population. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's not just a Nova Scotia-centric issue, but you're witnessing, the effects of what happens to your family when you choose drugs and alcohol over your kids. And its effects. And I can't believe how still to this day, Janie is in staunch denial that anything's even wrong, to the point where it tells you she's just blocking anything that is actually affecting her life. She's talking about sacrificing and being out in that RV to save her kids. Well, your kids wouldn't need to be in that spot if they weren't addicted to those substances. The ones that you wouldn't recognize if they were on or not. Boy, you're an attentive parent, Janie. You're too old to know what drugs are. She's just an old woman. She doesn't know what drugs are. No, that's what she wants you to think. So either she's an addict as well, or she is just at an unbelievable level of delusion. There's no getting around that here. It's the primary focus. It directly led and is negligent in abuse towards the kids in the household. And they don't want you to even think about that. I've tried. They acknowledge it every once in a while, but in reality, they're high all the fucking time. I'm speaking up to that point on May 2nd. I don't care about afterwards. Janie, you're in real, like, that. I'll tell you what sells me on Janie's denial. Because she's out in her driveway living like she's homeless. Rather than attack and address the problem at hand. She'd rather enable and accommodate their problems, move herself out into being homeless, than admitting that drugs were affecting the entire family. As your front lawn fills up with hamster cages and fucking luggage that's rotten, old mattresses, and you're just thinking that everybody's making fun of you. That's what makes me wonder just about her mental state in that sense. Like, she's at such a level of denial, I'm not sure if I buy that. Because she made the attempt to try to clean up the place, and then she called CBC in. The place up to that CBC interview where Janie called them over and told them that she wasn't lying to them. You guys are in real trouble. Janie, Daniel, Malaya. And you can't get away from that. No matter how many people want to simp and glaze Malaya at this point in time, there's no getting away from the lie that she's told, where it stands right now. And the lie she's putting, this hoax that she's putting on the greater population. The randos on social media that want to believe everything that they hear.
Next, we have Daniel's dad, the step-grandfather who lives in a bungalow up on a hill near the house where the kids live. Next, we have Belinda Gray, who lives about half an hour away from the house and is Malaya's ex-mother-in-law, and she might have reason to resent Malaya for never inviting her to the house to see her grandkids. And finally, we have Jack and Lily's biological dad, Cody Sullivan, who recently lost his job, had to move back in with his mom.
I got to disagree with that. Where did I see that? We're talking about the situation, not just how cluttered and shitty. That's just a sign of their poor mental health in the house. All right. But the reality is that it's gotten to the point where the dysfunction is, they're forced into dysfunction. She's put herself out in the driveway. This isn't a lifestyle choice. This isn't like retiring south. And she doesn't even describe it properly. She says she sacrificed for her kids, like it's a virtuous thing to do, rather than out of desperation. She chose to become homeless in that sense and still be living at home. That's right from her latest clip when she was talking up there with Charmaine. But you don't need to hear her statements. You can see it. There's a problem. The problem is the kids are home and they're taking over the joint and nothing's being done. They've got no desire to build their own futures in that sense. They're trying to sustain, and they're preoccupied with their addictions. And it's evident. Gil Mitchell, Earl knew the kids were starving, so Janie can't say she didn't know. What makes you say that, Gil Mitchell? One of his posts? Oh, pretty much any drugs make your pupils go one way or the other, kitty cat. You take your pick.
Half an hour away from where his biological kids, Jack and Lily, live. So what's my point? Well, that's a lot of potential suspects if the kids were actually kidnapped. But Malaya somehow has been able to rule out all of them. If you saw my analysis of the first part of this article, you'll know that Malaya informed Belinda that the kids were missing. She never asked Belinda if she knew what happened or asked her if Cody was home the night before. She never pointed the finger at Earl or Daniel's mother, who lives on the property with them, or even Daniel, who, if Malaya's story is to be believed, she can't alibi. She was apparently in and out of sleep when the kids disappeared. But there is another reason I paused at this point, and that's because Malaya has been insisting that the kids either wandered off or were kidnapped, but when it finally comes time to say what she thinks happened to them, she has no idea. And that specific answer of a mother of a missing child saying they have no idea is typical of hoaxers, and that's because they don't want to reveal any information. Mothers of missing...
Bingo bango, man, that's such a simple but very important, pertinent point even to this moment in time, even to Janie. Janie knows damn well she's lying. That's disturbing. She had a responsibility to love and care for her grandchildren. Absolutely, sweet tea. Could you imagine? I wonder what Janie's interpretation of love is at this point in time. Could you imagine her consoling? You never heard Janie say she cooked any meals or took them to McDonald's to get a Happy Meal, a simple one like that, Miss K? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, you heard it about it one time. Remember she babysat that one time? So bizarre to say. But I mean, yeah, there's problems with Janie all over the place. Like, unfortunately, she's I guess you could say misrepresenting. That'd be a nice way to put things. It's not too difficult. She doesn't want to add any context. It's the same old routine. You're just stupid for asking any further questions into it. Like, she gets up on there and she acts. She portrays herself to be the one with all of the knowledge and be able to, chase away any of your wandering theories and bizarre scenarios because you just must not have heard her loud enough. Like, there's no context, there's no explanation. It's, if you don't believe me, then you're stupid, quite literally. And that's a real problem. Like, you can't expect anybody to take that and accept it, Janie, especially in this situation. Why she continues to get up on people's live chats and do these interviews is just beyond me. Like, it's fascinating to watch because I'm sold on a certain level of delusion. That's out of force and desperation. That's what Danny's doing to her. Like, she was so not interested in this new floozy Danny brought home. The fact that Meadow was going to be arriving probably had a factor in on her heart. And she's a mom. She wants to help out her kids, but listen, if what Janie claims to be true, and it probably isn't, if you're comparing it to anything else she says, it's probably a lie too, then she doesn't recognize or doesn't feel important that there's drugs around the kids that are on the property at all times, and this is basically a flop house and it's going to shit. I have a real hard time believing that. What was her answer to things, I wonder? That they were busy? You're just getting busier and busier? It's so far out there, Nini. You're a grandmom of 5. There's no effing way I could watch any child be abused. Dirty, hungry, not having come to Jesus meeting. Those parents F you, Janie. You're poo-poo-poo. She's poo-pooing you. Yeah, it's very hard to listen to. And who I'm not sure who brought it up last night. Maybe it was in Justin's chat. Some people are using the term emotional vampires, an energy vampire. That's what Janie does when she's up there talking in this sense. You're stupid. Think about what Jack and Lily and any kid must endure around her. You know, she's not a very friendly individual. She'd be a person you wanted to avoid. Rob and Janie didn't do herself any favors speaking out again. I'm with you. She didn't convince anyone that she's telling the truth. Think about why you're even there in the first place. The whole conversation is about how she's telling the truth again, rather than anything to do as a desperate parent you would expect them to do in a situation where they want their kids back. No, it's centered around her very minimal statements and just how true they are, no matter how contradictory they become. And they were since the get-go. It doesn't make any sense for Janie to be sending mixed messages like that. Little tidbits. I guess those CBC interviews were upwards of like 2 hours or so. They've got 2.5 hours of content. You know, they've got 7 minutes out there, so we must not understand. If we only see 7 minutes of it and come to the conclusions that we are, Janie, based upon how nasty you are up there, it's not going to look very good in the long run. It's just going to be more poor me coming from Janie. People will pop up. She's the whole performative act of getting up there in front of a YouTube live chat is supposed to pass for some sort of testimony or what is it supposed to prove in this circumstance? A bunch of randos have usually not very well thought out questions and circumstances. Why did, it has to be Janie insisting on getting herself up there in front of people. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not a situation where she's going to be able to explain herself out of it. We're focused on the story and its relation to Jack and Lily. She doesn't want to talk about it. And she's putting it back onto the people that she comes in contact with. It's just a bizarre back and forth. I don't like it. Charmaine did a funny job. It's hard to be up there and telling Janie that she's right about everything. Could you believe that? I'm not even hating on her. I mean, okay, Janie, you want to come up and talk and be my guest? Oh my God. But pandering to her, saying, "Oh yes, Janie. Oh, I know. Jeez, you got to be sympathetic. She's doing a good job. She did a good job in that sense, because nobody's buying Janie's story in that sense. It's very difficult to be up there on a whim and pretend that you're eating up everything." Coincidence Malaya and Janie come out? Yeah, Lori Green, you got your eyes in the right spot. You're looking at the right things. Maybe Ken will come out with a spring upgrade to his little signs. You got some flowers on your awareness bracelets?
Children typically have thousands of ideas of where the kid might be. In fact, it's the only thing they can think about. Where might they be? But parents like kids were actually kidnapped. But Malaya somehow has been able to rule out all of them. If you saw my analysis of the first part of this article, you'll know that Malaya informed Belinda that the kids were missing. She never asked Belinda if she knew what happened, or asked her if Cody was home the night before. She never pointed the finger at Earl or Daniel's mother, who lives on the property with them, or even Daniel, who, if Malaya's story is to be believed, she can't alibi. She was apparently in and out of sleep when the kids disappeared. But there is another reason I paused at this point, and that's because Malaya has been insisting that the kids either wandered off or were kidnapped, but when it finally comes time to say what she thinks happened to them, she has no idea. And that specific answer of a mother of a missing child saying they have no idea is typical of hoaxers, and that's because they don't want to reveal any information. Mothers of...
Because you guys don't want to reveal any information, man. That just fits so well into this scenario. It did then, and it still does. She's up there claiming their victims stopped treating us like criminals, yet refuses to talk about her son's charges that took place on her property. Funny that. Jesus, Murphy, what? I wonder what her motivations were for coming out. I probably Anita wound them up a little bit. God knows what's up with that. It's probably a combination of things. You know, at the end of the day, she and they spend all of their time listening to all of this commentary coverage of talking about just how big of liars they are. In other words, are the problems with their story. Such a bizarre dynamic. Janie listens. She loves Mike. What did Lori say? What did you say there, Lori? Coincidence, Malaya and Janie come out now. The month PBMB are searching. You couldn't write this shit, and don't trust PBMH either. Yep. That whole dynamic, it doesn't matter. The only ones with the answers are Daniel, Malaya, and Janie. It doesn't matter. You don't need to find the golden key and get it out of Daniel. You need to break one of them, but you need to have enough information on them to entrap them in that sense in an interview. And that's why you build a case against them. What do you think every time a criminal goes and does something and lies to the police? Oh, well, just they look the other way. This is one that you can't look away from. This is so blatantly ridiculous. It can't help but direct the investigation a certain way, even if it was guided by robots.
Of missing children typically have thousands of ideas of where the kid might be. In fact, it's the only thing they can think about. Where might they be? But parents like Malaya and Daniel, Casey Anthony, William Turl's foster parents, Jen Soto, Stephen Stearns, Summer Wells' parents, Madeline McCann's parents, Sebastian Rogers' parents, they have no idea. And finally, what do you make of Malaya's story that the glass door was so quiet that it didn't wake her or Daniel up when the kids opened it to sneak out and then closed it behind themselves?
What do we think about that story? It's absolute bullshit. It's a direct, the direct point where she's able to place blame onto the victims. It's so very important. She says that to the grander hoax. That's the starting point. That's the twist.
Well, I'll play you the exact sound it makes when it's open and closed in a moment, but first, just remember that we have other senses besides hearing. Patio doors can rumble the thin walls in a trailer so that people feel vibrations. The suction of the opening and closing can be felt in the air pressure, not to mention all the sounds of the outdoors when the door is opened, which gets silenced when it gets closed again. All right, let's listen, and this clip is from my video analyzing Janie McKenzie, Daniel's mom, who lives on the property.
We've heard a lot about the patio door.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go see that.
Sure.
So this is the patio
This is the patio door
that Jack and Lily would have
that Jack and Lily came out of.
And so tell us why we've heard about the patio door.
Because everybody's saying on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok that the patio door makes a noise, and why they didn't hear the door open. The bedroom is back there. Okay.
That far window.
The last window is the bedroom.
The reason people talk about how much noise that sliding glass door makes is because Malaya Brooks Murray, Lily and Jack's mom, used it as part of her alibi. According to her, it's completely silent, which is why she didn't recognize that her toddlers, Lily and Jack Sullivan, had wandered off outside on their own. So the fact that it does make a noise pokes yet another hole in her story. But her story's already a slice of Swiss cheese, so it's not that interesting. What's more interesting is Janie's reaction. I would have expected a truly innocent person to be at least a little bit suspicious about that. Malaya's entire alibi hinges on whether or not that door makes noise. Come to think of it, I haven't even seen Janie comment on the fact that Malaya doesn't live on that property anymore. Right after the kids went missing, she did one interview and then disappeared. One obvious explanation for why Janie isn't curious or suspicious about any of this is because she actually knows what happened. Whether she was filled in by Malaya and her son Daniel to help in the cover-up, or was involved right from the beginning. But even more telling than the things that Janie seems to deliberately ignore, like the sound we all just heard, are the things she seems to deliberately address. You can watch the rest of that video in my...
Yeah, that's good. It's a good analysis, man. Big old slap on the back. Selective dozing in and out of sleep. Good alibi if you're having someone that corroborates that. But in this case, the dozers couldn't even get the right or was drifting in and out of sleep. Well, throw it all out the window because they come and immediately contradict themselves to choose confusion over clarity in that sense. Poop. Nothing but crap. Just a clapping seal. Tucker didn't bark when someone showed up, opened the trailer door, got the children dressed, cleaned the kitchen, then walked them to the road and drove away into the ether. Must have done it quietly. There's no possible way that you don't know what's going on every moment of every hour of the day, living in your own driveway. In fact, you would know more about what's going on around your house if you were, in fact, living just outside your house in the driveway and staring at it nonstop. You have no choice but to physically be observing your house in its entirety and the ongoings in and around it. Because, again, you live in the driveway. You can't get around that. You live in the backyard and you see it all. You hear it all. It's not like you're insulated away from the rest of the world. It's just a small sheet of aluminum that's corroding. Man, oh man. Janie getting up there, getting up there, straightening things out. How did she say it? Let me see. I've got a transcription. This is 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Janie explains why she chose a live public stream. When people do record videos, they seem to leave out the important parts. This way, everybody hears what I have to say and there's no disputing about it. because recording just doesn't do the same thing. Oh, fuck. She loves the live chat. Why do you do it in front of a live chat? Why not get out what you have to say in a calmer environment in that sense? You know, I'd never disrespect anybody by getting them up there and throwing them to the wolves and just eliciting questions from the faceless crowd in that sense. Surely you should have some better things to talk about. The conversation would be so much better if it was like a conversation between Janie and Charmaine, or Janie and Justin, or whoever Janie wants to speak with. Janie and Ali from the CBC. But no, you want to get in front of the live chat so there's no disputing about it. It's not even a real answer. It's not an answer, bro. Oh, but it's fucking funny. It's so funny to listen to Janie lie sometimes. But sad when you realize what it ties back to. It's understandable now. Oh, now we understand why you're lying. You're facing 2 times life. She says, Janie talks about not going to town on the Friday morning. My brother called me. That Friday, I didn't eat anything in town. I decided to stay home and I go back to bed. Malaya and Daniel usually know that I go to town on Fridays. Sort of have... Yeah. Man, she just circular statement. Where did Kent go, Andy? He's probably up in Facebook right now organizing something with his little group of Daniel and Janie advocates, as he liked to coin the term. Let me see. What was the one we saw last night? We just saw the Kent one. That one was perfect. They're in big trouble.
Get all day 12-hour hold.
Let's watch this together first time.
That class when you...
Oh, glass blowing. Tried to sell me everything. Oh, no.
Confident in where
no.
the investigation is going?
It's a little bit different from my point of view versus, you know, the public eye. But right now, I'm fairly happy with what they're doing. I mean, they're pulling out all the stops. I mean, cadaver dogs took a long, or human remains dogs took a long time to come in. But I mean, everything's falling into place like it should. It's just the amount of time that's passed. It's just, for some people, it's not fast enough.
That's Daniel Martell, and I think he knows what happened to his missing stepkids. And it's not just because he said everything's falling into place while they're still missing. So in today's video, let's watch his recent interview on the Drunk Turkey Show and count all the lies. I've only seen part of this because I wanted to react to it with all of you. So let's dive in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. We got an excellent show planned out for you guys tonight. Tonight, I'll be interviewing Daniel Martell, the stepfather for Jack and Lily Sullivan, the 2 missing young children out in Nova Scotia in Canada. They went missing back in May of this year. And there's been some new developments here recently. Some cadaver dogs have been in the area searching the location and the property and the surrounding areas of where they believe and suspect the kids may have wandered off to. And unfortunately, it seems like, or fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, nothing was found from what I understand. But they are still out there looking. I'm not sure if the cadaver dogs are still in the area, but I know that they still haven't given up the search Jack and Lily. But we do interview Daniel Martel. I want you guys to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Mods, I might need all hands on deck on this one. You guys know what to do. And here it is. Everybody, welcome to the show. Daniel Martel, the stepfather for Lily and Jack. Welcome, Daniel. How are you doing, my man? How's it going?
I'm still staying strong there, Daniel. I mean, every day is a new day.
Before we get too deep, I just want to thank Drunk Turkey for doing this interview and giving me permission to react to it. I'll link his channel down below. I've personally asked Daniel multiple times for an interview, but he's never accepted. And to be fair, I think the reason why is pretty simple. My name is Deception Detective, and he's a liar. In today's video, I'll point out plenty of...
Fuck, you gave... Oh, I love it. Oh, shit. That was a good one. I told you he's got a sense of humor. Oh, that's a good one. God damn, they got me with that one. Let me see. I wasn't about to put you through watching Drunk Turkey again. We don't need to do that shit. Thanks for the joke. Let's see. What's newer? Let's see what he's got. What is he talking about? What was the one they looked at last night? This is... Yeah, this might be okay.
Hey, you. We're new.
Daniel, this is the interview that they released after he got arrested for his most recent charges.
The Home Depot has free delivery, so you can get everything you need for out there or in here without having to go anywhere. Order today and get free delivery from the Home Depot.
Oh, it's Contagious Broken
Did you have
Goth
anything
doll.
to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily?
No.
I'm sorry for laughing in your ears. Usually it's annoying. You don't like that Broken Goth doll, but sometimes you can't help it. It's not like I'm sitting up here laughing at my own jokes, like some sort of unfunny comedian. Maybe to Janie I am.
No.
Did you kill them?
No.
What do you think happened to them?
At this point, I'm completely just not sure. I mean, I've thrown speculation out in the past and, narratives that I think, or theories that, what I think may have happened. But at this point, I have to just go with what the RCMP say because they have so much information.
He was asked what he thinks happened to his missing stepchildren. He responded, but didn't actually answer the question. That's a bizarre thing to be evasive about, and it only gets worse from here. So in today's video, let's analyze the Daniel Martel interview so damning the CBC only published it after his recent arrest. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60 exclusive videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. We analyzed the first part of this interview in a previous video, which I'll link at the end. So instead of recapping all those red flags, let's just quickly recap what a reliable denial is before we listen on. I've put the full rule for my deception deck on your screen, but here's the gist. A one-word response to a yes or no question is not a reliable denial. Neither is a non-answer, like I don't know, or I'm not sure, or I don't remember. A reliable denial contains three elements that liars often struggle with. First, it contains the pronoun I. In other words, are speaking for themselves, not hiding in a group of we or behind a hypothetical you. Second, it contains a direct negation, didn't or did not, instead of a slippery discrepancy verb like couldn't or wouldn't or shouldn't. Finally, it addresses the whole accusation and nothing but the accusation, so it doesn't shrink it down to just part of the accusation or broaden the scope enough to make it vague and irrelevant. Alright, with that in mind, let's pick up where we left off and see why this interview is so damning.
There have been allegations from Malaya's friends and family that you were abusive to her. Were you?
No.
They said that when she moved in with you, she cut off all contact with them and you monitored her phone.
She also monitored mine. We both had the same passwords on her phone. And her friends, she blocked her friends on my phone and she blocked them on her own phone.
So how would you describe your relationship before the children went missing?
Yes. I don't really want to talk on that because I don't really want to talk on too much to do with Malaya. It's best that we don't.
Okay.
No, that's not okay. As I said in the intro, his evasiveness about what might have happened to Lily and Jack is just the smallest red flag in this interview. They only get bigger and bigger by the minute. Here, he just admitted to cutting off Malaya's contact to her friends and family and monitoring her phone. Whether or not she did the same is completely irrelevant. Then he just flat out refused to talk about the relationship at all. Maybe it was so glorious that he can't possibly even attempt to put it into words, but I doubt it. The same way extreme reticence and evasiveness is associated with a liar rather than an honest person, controlling behavior is more often correlated with domestic abuse than fairy tale romances. Coincidentally, so is drug use. Listen to this.
So you mentioned that there were some accusations about your past drug use.
Mm-hmm.
I've read some things about it being drug use that week, the week the children went missing. Is there any truth to that?
No, I didn't have any drugs. And Major Crimes knows that. Or they would have, charged me with possession of drugs or drug paraphernalia. There was nothing at the house.
No.
So, and they know that.
What is your history in terms of the drug use? What would you like to share, just to clear the air?
I did not have any drugs. People thought I was doing drugs during the search. Absolutely not. I don't owe any drug dealers money. I don't owe anyone drugs. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't manufacture drugs. I can't really speak on anything more than that, I guess.
Those have been all the accusations made at you.
That I have, manufactured drugs.
So he dodged the question and just gave a bunch of spam, and she had to figure out what the hell he just told her. Oh, those are all the accusations you're talking about? Oh, come on now. Danny, we know you're a tweaker boy.
Drugs, sell them. I give them to people to sell. It's crazy.
There was no drug party that night?
No, there was no drug party. There was no leaving during the middle of the night. When we pulled into the yard on Thursday afternoon, it would have been about 3:50 or just right before 4 o'clock. The vehicle did not move till the next morning until I got in it and then went searching for Lily and Jack that morning when Malaya was on dispatch or contacted dispatch.
Remember, reliable denials contain 3 elements. Here, Daniel's denials contain the words I and did not. So we really need to scrutinize the scope of the denials. And predictably, they were very narrow. Saying he didn't do drugs during the search isn't the same as saying he's never done drugs or didn't do them that morning. Same goes for his denials about having drug debts or being a drug dealer. Maybe he's not a drug dealer right now, but what about yesterday? What about 9 months ago? Finally, I don't think it's a coincidence that he talked about not having drug paraphernalia.
He's a drug dealer every time he has it. When he's out, he's not a drug dealer anymore. He doesn't have any. Not dealing. Oh, so clever.
In the house when the police searched it.
Absolutely, he's a daily
What about the
Matthews
day
efficient.
before? And I hope all my viewers caught the hypocrisy of his argument that if he had drug paraphernalia, the police would have charged him with it. Well, guess what? He's recently been arrested and charged with physical abuse of an adult. So I guess he's guilty by his own logic. On that note, there are techniques the journalists could have used to pin Daniel.
Man, that rape fantasy, the grape fantasy of Daniel's is a real giveaway to being a control freak in that sense. It's all about control. There's nothing sexual about what Daniel was portraying to be his do or die in those text messages. Remember that grape fantasy of his? Oh, yep. Women just love that. I'm going to commit felonious assault on you, girl, twice. Yeah, you're not going to tell nobody. It's just how I like it. Where did he learn healthy sexual practices, I wonder, Janie? Did you never have the sit down with him? Did you never sit down and talk to him and reinforce what healthy love is between a man and a woman?
down to one of his denials and catch him in a contradiction. But more on that in a moment, because Daniel's about to confirm one more thing I said about him a long time ago. He isn't just a liar, he's a manipulator. Listen to this.
How have all of these allegations impacted you?
At the start, it didn't bother me because they're obviously all not true. You know, basically anyone can just go on there and say whatever they want without any recourse at all.
It's such a bullshit answer. Listen, asshole. It doesn't matter if there was 250 isolated theories about what you did to Jack and Lily. What has gone on afterwards all leads back to the same and only conclusion. That you, Malaya, and Janie are criminally negligent. You're criminally responsible for what happened to Jack and Lily, and your behavior afterwards tells that tale.
And over time, you know, it started to get to me because it's just constant, right? I tried to keep up on it all and tried to, you know, tell everyone the truth and correct everyone, but it was just too much. When those groups start to get so large and there's thousands and thousands of comments and thousands of questions every day, that's too much. And then you have YouTube creators, they just go on and...
It tells you that we're really getting to him. I love it. Oh, I'm so sorry, Daniel, not. Let's see. MCM, that's a great statement. I think it's plausible that the entire story about working on the fence Thursday was manufactured. Well, it's a pretty safe bet. For the purpose of giving a reason why. Excellent context. Daniel left the property. You're suggesting that the tools and his need to go and get and find his tools was a reason that Daniel had to leave and wasn't around? Yeah, that's a pretty solid bet there, MCM. That's a good observation. Good point. And that point, I wonder, isn't that... I'm trying to remember back. Isn't that what old Jordan got upset about as well? Daniel showed up at his house looking for his tools. Oh, you're banned, Cool J. When Daniel's property is supposedly to find a Thursday. I wish I could get this chat out. I have to go. God darn it. There we go. I did it. Congratulations. When Daniel left property to supposedly find a tool Thursday is when he actually left to hide the bodies, question marks. Man, I wonder what the RCMP think. It's so interesting to be in on that little circle of detectives bouncing ideas. Let me know if you guys need a break. I'll come on up in there and bring you coffee and we'll talk. I remember Derwood. I want to see that body cam with the Derwood Getty's interview. Put that down on my wish list. That is so funny. That CBC's talking about, they have this little snippet early on in the case talking about how combative Derwood, this Darren Geddes was. I can't wait to find out exactly how he's associated to all of this. We could come in with a solid answer. We probably still can without knowing the details, but knowing that the RCMP, it's like you're sneaking up on the RCMP and what they know when you're up here and you're coming across things and figuring things out. They're way far ahead of us. But they're the only investigation that matters, obviously, so that's why it's so intriguing. They're just as curious as at Derwood. He's always been a curious individual. He's part of the Kent Corbett advocacy group. That's so fucking funny. Did Malaya make a statement earlier on when her mother showed up? Was her first response? Oh, Jen Nova. Did Malaya make a statement earlier on when her mother showed up? That, do you know what those claims came from? Yeah, that those allegations or the statements have been made, but I think it came through the communication on the affidavits from talking to Janie. saying that Malaya said these things. But she indicated it in the RCMP dispatch. This whole possibly autistic scenario, which is just disgusting. She used it as a reason why her kids are disappeared, why they're gone.
You know, they basically become delusional. They have their mob and they look to destroy, or they're completely obsessed with me in the case.
Oh, so obsessed with Danny.
I mean, what have you learned about the true crime community?
That it's absolutely vicious, and I said this word a lot, but obsessive. And it's a lot of those creators in the true crime community, it's like basically, you know, talking to like a barnyard animal, I guess you could say. It's...
Oh, which one?
They don't add any value other than just being there.
I want to be a peacock.
Do you feel at this point things are getting worse? Or has it eased up at any point?
The community it's becoming more aggressive with their conspiracies and theories due to my lack of engagement online.
Your lack of engagement online. Listen, it doesn't matter what theory out there you subscribe to. Every single one comes back to the responsibility of this asshole, Malaya, and Janie. Because there is only one death, there is only one dead, and there's 2 children that are passed on now. And these individuals want to run around and claim that they're still living. Could you believe just the sheer audacity of them? Could you explain that to us, please? They never do. It's just revert right to their heart. Insert, faith-based sort of statement. But that's Janie's heart tells her. There's no real logic behind. Thank God you're not my mom. Oh, I can't find my kid. I'm sure they'll be okay. They'll figure it out. I'm sure they're still alive somewhere. They're probably wandering around grazing in a meadow, probably eating some daffodils and some grass like all of the other buffalo out there on the plains.
I've seen numerous death threats and major crimes, notified me on that. And, they're working hard to basically get them under control and find out who's doing them.
How are these death threats coming in?
I get them daily on my phone. That's a normal thing, but major crimes was aware of them. I'm not sure.
But this death threat claim isn't going very well.
Some other way, but they didn't want to dive into that. They're pretty limited on what they can tell me about any of it. Basically because, they don't want me to get worried and everything like that, but pretty serious stuff, I guess.
How are you dealing with that?
I'm dealing pretty well with it because, nothing really scares me in that aspect. It's been 8 months and I don't really put much thought into where much, I don't recognize it as, having any impact on my life personally. But I imagine a lot of individuals are probably scared for me, I guess, because,
right.
They care about me.
Doubt it.
But for me personally, I just see.
You brought it up. Obviously, it affects you. You just don't want to explain anything. Daniel, you're guilty AF in all of this, and you need to get into the RCMP and just sit down and beg for mercy.
It is like another rock that skips off the water. There still is, people with big hearts out there and open minds, but they're not on there posting. But I do have loyal supporters, and I appreciate everything.
You imagine? You and your brother are missing, and this asshole is up talking about just how innocent he is and how hard it is with all of the people pointing fingers at him online. You can always change that. You can be in control of everything that you're complaining about.
Every single one of them.
I can see the YouTube mob has really taken a toll on Daniel, so I'm going to make this offer once again, an offer I've made almost ever since I started covering this case. Daniel, if you let me interview you and I find you to be honest, I will be your biggest online supporter and never make a video about you again. Until then, though, I will have to continue analyzing other people's interviews. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss my next installment in this series. Until next time, stay true.
Oh, that's a fantastic. He's got a whole playlist. That's a fantastic video. I'm glad he did it. What? I thought I shared that. Frick. Oh, it's a pin. They've changed it.
An egg donor or whatever, but what makes you a mom or a dad is caring for those kids, protecting those kids, giving those kids love, not a crack-filled, rat-sustained environment that you say you know nothing about.
No way, when those kids are found, that we are going to stop Meadow from seeing Jack and Lily. She has every right to see her half-brother and sister. That ATV hasn't been on this property in 5 years.
That was Janie. A couple clips of Janie. Oh my God, can you believe it? I'm going to come up here and dispel some rumors and never ever get anywhere. Big question is, why is it taking so many people so long to speak out in regards to this case? Why are they all coming out of the woodwork now, Genova? I don't know what you mean. Who in particular in that sense? So many people so long. It's not a big clique of people. We know everybody. Jack and Lily were isolated away for their entire lives so that mom and dad could get high. Even worse, Malaya is a part of that. She seemed to be volunteering to delve headfirst into this very bizarre relationship. Nini, yes, Danny, we are obsessed with this case. 2 babies are gone, and you absolute douchebag. Yeah, imagine complaining about that. He's just got motor mouth. He's in a position where he really didn't want to answer the particular questions. Things are getting a little stressful, his cognitive load. Norbeaster, which reminds me, hey Danny, how's your loyalty with Jordan? Didn't he tell you to fuck off? I'm not sure about that, Norbeaster. They're buddies. Careful who he listened to about that. He did say that he would tell Danny that at one point. He told me and Mike that. I'm not so sure you can trust old Jordan. Wasn't that so weird statement about Meadow being able to see her brother and sister? Well, she gets into these long-winded explanations about how Malaya needs to be scrutinized because she's trying to interfere in Danny having custody or being able to see all of this nonsense. None of this is going to be an issue for these two. You guys will never see children again. All right? There won't be any returning the kids home to you. None of that. You guys have dropped the ball a long time ago. Janie's pretending like nothing's changed in that sense. It's like they come out one at a time now, characters inserting themselves with information. Why did they not do that in the very beginning? Well, Jen, it's hard to really tell you the answer to that, but I see what you're saying. I would have to say because either they're not legit It depends who you're talking about, though. I don't really look much past Daniel, Malaya, and Janie. There's no need to. They're desperately in need of you believing, and they want you to believe that there's all of these other possibilities, and therefore there's no reason to be further questioning them on their claims. What they said is absolute truth. There's no need to question it. It's just so bizarre. It's not bizarre like mystifying. It's rather obvious that they're blatant liars in all of this. So it gives people opportunity to therefore fill in the blanks for them. And it's easy for that little group of advocates to go and try to probe and then play with people and guide them down paths that are essentially a waste of time, distract them away from the reality. You just got to close yourself off to it. You don't need to. It's fine and fun to speculate, but only to a point. Yeah, fishing in a boat. Where the hell did you go?
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Until that day, Jack and Lily went missing. And why it was so.
You can hear Daniel's tablet or phone in the background. It's a little, it sounds like it's echoing. It's
echoing in the background. Danny's got the YouTube open on his iPad, does he? Well, you got to turn the volume down when your mom's on doing an interview, speaking on your behalf. Hey, moms, get up there on Charmaine's and straighten out some of this nonsense. Daniel needs to be accommodated. Well, she's really into this. Well, she's got to be fully aware of what happened to Jack and Lily. The more that time goes on, the more convinced I am. Heaven said.
You know how it's a little delayed. Daniel's got to be there with the stick up his ass. Listen.
Clean that day as it was raining here, people.
Really? That's why it was. That's why it would that ATV was. Let's see here. Let's see here. That's why it was so clean, because it was raining. Interesting.
Yeah, you got it cool, Jay.
Interesting, because if you look here.
Good morning, trail hiker.
Right, on all of these photos and videos. Let me just do it like this so you guys can see it better. You know, water and earth create mud, Janie. Right? And you guys were up on that trail, right, Janie? You guys were up on that trail. So how in the hell was it so clean? Oh, look at all those dirty trucks. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Oh, wow. Yeah, my ass, Janie. My ass. So full of shit. And I'm going to show you that you're full of shit here in just a minute.
He did a good job.
What size of pool, please? And why not put it in the fenced area?
Oh, here we go. She has a new explanation for the pool. She wasn't going to put the pool on a grassed backyard where there's where it's fenced in. She wasn't about to do that. She has the most cockamamie bullshit excuses for this pool. It's just mind-numbing. Yeah. Here we go.
Tree where the pool would go, it looks like it's... I don't understand this question, Lynn.
She's got an answer for everything.
I can answer that question. The reason I wanted to put the pool where in front of my RV is the fenced area where the grass is was for Jack and Lily. And I did not want to put a pool in a fenced yard with 2 kids. So I wanted to put it.
She's such an idiot. You wouldn't want to put the pool where the kids would play. What exactly is this pool? I thought the pool was for the kids in the first place. You are such a weirdo, Janie. Mind you, it shouldn't surprise you that the story is fabricated to begin with. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, some other guy, something that doesn't exist. Oh, I was going to put a pool there. Now it's a great big reason for her to go on and on about nothing, something that isn't real and not tangible to the situation. Of course, there'll always be an answer for it from her, no matter how ridiculous. But it's a real guffaw. She has 2 fenced-in areas, and she wanted to put a pool at the end of the effing driveway. Right in front of her RV. That way, it would be in the way of getting the RV out of there and mobile. That should be priority number 1, is getting that fucking ditch RV out of there and back to the dump where you pulled it out of. Step number 1 to taking back Janie's life. Here's step number 2. You guys have 60 days to vacate the premises. Here, I'll even help look in the classifieds for you. Why don't, instead of spending all that time on Leo's lists there, fun boy, with your hand in your pants, don't you flick over to the real estate section of Kijiji and see if you can't get the hell out of my life? What was it that Janie... There's some... The bullshit is too thick. The bullshit is too thick with Janie. She wants to seem that life is just tickety-boo, that she has all of this going on in her life and she's living in the driveway and it's just life is normal. There's nothing at all normal for these people or anybody else. Nothing is normal in the day-to-day activities as long as the old lady is living in the driveway. Grandma, this is how we abuse our elders. So not only are you abusing Jack and Lily and everybody, it's what happens in the cycle of addiction and the drugs, especially if you're in this relationship. Now, I have a hard time believing this, but imagine if Janie really is in denial about Daniel's drug use and its effects on everybody. Does anybody else find that hard to believe? It's hard to believe that Janie doesn't understand and recognize what's going on and is wrong with her son. She seems not to care, be in denial, and just accept learned helplessness in this scenario. Like it's all outside of their control. Absolutely ridiculous. To the point where you've ended up in the goddarn driveway, living in an RV, a broken down RV that doesn't run. It's hollowed out on the inside and you're pretending that it's like a fantastic situation. You shit in a bucket. You can do better. Like, how about getting back in your own house? Right. She's part of the chaos, Miss K. It's just a facade. It's just ridiculous. It has nothing to do with holding anything against her for she feels that she has to do. That's her trying to justify the dysfunction and what's really wrong in this situation. That's just another form of deflecting away from giving us any real answers, which, by the way, she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to tell us anything. Which just makes it even more fascinating watching them because they can't stay away from social media. That's what makes it so entertaining. You guys don't have to create your own problems, but you feel that you do. Even if you were guilty, you wouldn't have to do that. You don't have to thank Janie. You don't have to thank Daniel for speaking out and bullshitting us non-fucking stop. You don't have to thank them for that. I'm just pointing out the simple fact that it's happening, it's occurring, and it doesn't have to. People on YouTube sometimes get confused that they're entitled and there's a certain point and a reason that it's a competition, and it's not. It's day by day. Janie wants to tell us what to believe about her and Daniel and take everything about May 2nd they said as fact. Dumbasses. Anita Benita, you're getting the point. Thank you for joining us today. Right. This is what we're caught in, this cycle of nonsense. Janie really poops in a bucket? WTF. Nini, in reality, the option is out there, but she probably, and I would expect that she goes back in and has her own limits, and she goes back in and shits in Daniel's bathroom. I mean, her bathroom. But there's a problem apparently with the septic. They fill the tub up with water. Somebody mentioned something gassing, whether keeping water is going to hold the gases from your septic tank or holding tank, whatever it is, back from entering your home. Probably just tweaking out, thinking you guys have to empty that shit out a little bit. Why don't you throw some bugs down there, get the digestion going? While you're at it, why don't you have a couple scoops of yogurt for your own tummy? So they have some issues out there with the plumbing, it sounds like. You felt Janie sidestepped your question? Oh, she's consistent. About if Malaya MDM was using when she lived on the property. No, she told you, Trail Hiker, she told you that she's old and doesn't know anything about drugs. Even though it was their generation that got everybody hooked in that sense. Kind of works that way. Oh, she's too old to know about all of these drugs and who's on them and what she said to Charmaine. Is that sidestepping that you were talking about? Yo, Phoenix. Yeah, of course she do. You know, her disdain towards Malaya and the kids, she wouldn't do anything if she heard people, getting smacked around in the trailer anyway. She'd be like, good, give them another one. Let me get my boots on so I can come in and put the boots to Malaya while you got her down on the ground. Give her an old I told you so. You should have done this and you should have done that. Therefore, Danny wouldn't have smacked you. I could see her in that role. A discount code for Janie's Airbnb. Listen, that would be a legitimate business. I'm not sure if they're interested in such things. Now, if you were asking about the illegal Airbnb, well, yeah, now we could talk, right? Lori, what are you talking about? Jack ran away from Patty's when M and D were together, so there were problems way back then. Is that why Patty booted them out? Rugs, use, and money. Where did you hear that? That Jack ran away when they were at Patty's in that sense. It's because nobody was watching him. How are you going to be running away at 1 year old? That's a good one, Broken Goth Doll. It was a coincidence Janie didn't go to town. Her MBMDM were tired. All heard the kids never seen. Fluffy told her right where JNL were, as she does. All dozing, but on Facebook making calls. Oh, WTF. Yeah, Anita, that whole story is cockamamie. This whole dozing in and out of sleep, and the fact that Janie even incorporated it into hers when she was asked to identify and when the last time she saw Jack and Lily were. You would have thought that you should have just said you didn't yesterday. You really complicated things, Janie. In an attempt to be their alibi, she kind of gave everything up because it wasn't as consistent for an investigator as they would like. Let's just be straight about it. It was bullshit. You wonder if the Pipeline Boys and Meth Down are out mudding today. Oh, shit. Not everybody out there is like that. Kind of is, though. The kind of are. He's rule. The only people that are around are them. They had shelter and a roof over their heads. What more do people expect? Oh, some food and clothes too. How about some emotional support, Ruby? Yeah, you're talking about the question to Janie yesterday about whether or not the kids were neglected. No, they weren't neglected at all. They had a roof, just like their chickens. Your chickens are looked after just the same as the kids are. And the rats too. Let's not forget they've got a roof over their head. Oh, and everything that they can eat, all the scraps that fall to the floor. Scurry on in and take a midnight snack back to the old rat's nest. Yeah, it's just her way of not acknowledging the problems. She doesn't have to come up here and tell you the truth. She's more than allowed to lie her ass off. It's her right. Just ask her.
In front of my RV, and there's going to be a fence put up around. I never finished it. I ran out of lumber. That's why the fence wasn't finished, but there was another.
You ran out of lumber in 1968, girl. That's when you ran out of lumber.
Fence behind that fence, if you haven't looked, it was made of chicken wire with fence posts. So
your son is made of chicken wire.
Oh, I didn't finish the fence that night because I ran out of lumber, but there is going to be another fence put up in where the end of the trailer is. There's going to be another fence go across the front of the yard and right back to the RV. That was all good.
Put a 1 in the chat if you remember Janie typing in a chat room. I can't remember. The
chickens won't lay eggs because they're too stressed out. Those are Janie's chickens. They're too stressed out. Why have chickens if people don't gather the eggs and make decent breakfasts for the kids? Damn them. Yeah, I'm with you, Ruby. Have all kinds of little chickens. You have a whole little system going back in there. But they don't. I think it's just to appease the insulation needs of the rats. She ran out of lumber in the middle of the wilderness. Think about all of the down pieces of dry lumber that you could have gathered. You could have made yourself a real outback, a frontier-looking fence. People have been making fences for thousands of years. Why the fuck does hers look so odd and bizarre? They have to be tweaking out on this wood and this fence. It has to be part of what it is that they do when they get high. Like an addiction. They're addicted to building this fence. Oh, yeah. They're out there role-playing. Role-playing as carpenters. You don't know anything about carpentry if you don't know. You got to hold that up for me, boy. You got to do your part. That's how we do it as carpenters. a rustic Airbnb, you could just chalk off a little section of the front yard and advertise it as a kind of a glamping adventure broken goth doll. Mind you, would have to put in a little bit of effort.
Or she wasn't raking. I can't remember. Maybe it was both. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember that.
Yeah, with a pool that's coming in the future. A pool view.
He's sassy. Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. So what changed, Junkyard?
Going to be fenced in, and the pool was going to be in there, away from Jack and Lily. Jack.
It's stupid.
When we used to go for walks, Daniel and I and my other 2 grandchildren and Jack and Lily, I would have to carry Jack through the woods because he couldn't make it over the brush or the undergrowth or everything. I would end up carrying Jack.
Listen.
So no, they wouldn't go in the woods. But
they wouldn't go in the woods. Okay.
As I said, when she told me that, the first thing you think of is maybe they went up to their cabins and maybe followed the road.
We're getting close.
Not go through the woods. But Daniel was up there just after they noticed the kids were missing.
Listen.
He went up the road with the vehicle.
He went up the road with the vehicle, but Daniel could only make it so far, allegedly up the road with the vehicle, Janie, because there was a tree that you couldn't make it all the way back there. Kind of interesting how he goes up behind the house like that and you see him. In my opinion, that is whenever he is, in my opinion, planting the pink blanket. Back behind the house, the pipeline.
I went up through the woods.
Listen.
He went up the road with the vehicle. He followed the road, not go through the woods. But Daniel was up.
Not go through the woods.
There, just up to their cabins, and maybe
up to their cabins.
Followed the road, not go through the woods. But Daniel was up there just after they noticed the kids were missing. He went up the road with.
He was up there just after they noticed the kids missing. Just continue.
The vehicle. I went up through the woods.
Oh, seriously, I am.
And as Daniel mentioned, when the helicopters went up, and they have the heat seekers on them, they found, I think it was a beaver and something else. The heat seeker went down on them and found these here animals.
She must be an AC/DC fan. That sounds like something. Isn't that a song from AC/DC, or who sings that? Heat seeker. Sounds like an old metal song.
I'm going to make a very inappropriate joke. Janie, you haven't had she says, listen to this.
Down on.
You wonder what evening entertainment would be like at Janie's Airbnb? A little bit of yelling, a little bit of fighting from inside. It's muffled.
On them and found kids were missing.
You can watch
he went
Janie
up
cook
the road with
for
the
the
vehicle.
chickens.
I went up through the woods. And as Daniel mentioned, when the helicopters went up, and they have the heat seekers on them, they found, I think it was a beaver and something else. The heat seeker went down on them.
You haven't had a heat seeker or a beaver go down on you, Janie, in a long time, I'm sure.
And found these here animals. I don't know much about it.
She's talking dirty.
Like, there's so much going around, like so many hearsayings here. They like even the people that were out searched these areas where these here heat seekers.
What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man. It's like it's like she instantly becomes like 6 years old. Not even into. So they got the heat seekers up there in the choppers now. Holy shit. What, like Sparrow missiles? Oh, man. Oh, I'm just picturing her sitting there on the phone while Danny's sitting there listening behind her. Yeah. Do this, okay. Just working together like mom and son should.
Where they hit hot spots. So if a helicopter with a heat sensor can pick up animals, they should have been able to pick up the kids.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with her on that. They absolutely should have been able to pick up the kids.
Yeah, should they be alive?
It is so sensitive that they can find. I mean, you can literally see a field mouse in a field moving. I'm just so sick of the buffoonery, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like Daniel or Malaya.
Well, see, it all goes back. Everything, all points that they bring up all come back to either an overt or covert attempt on relating it to just how innocent they are in whatever happened to Jack and Lily, which, by the way, they don't want to even hazard a guess. Oh, it's just not worth me guessing now. Trying to convince us that there was nothing worth remembering. Yeah, the timeline is not important. Nothing happened. It's not worth remembering. Oh, it just never ends. Michelle, today, did you hear the part where Janie is being corrected by someone in the background when talking about Cody? I'll be Danny. Danny's got Janie speaking for him now. That's so funny. Maybe Derwood's around there too. Maybe they're having some mac and cheese with some kind of hot dogs and a little hot sauce in it. Living like kings out there.
Both need to tell the damn truth. And I'm not here to stroke either one of their egos. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of it. Like, let's talk about bringing Jack and Lily home. Why don't you tell the truth? All the buffoonery. It's crazy. Thank you, Helicopter Mama. Thank you, baby. Appreciate you. Anytime, baby. Thank you so much, love you. If you receive that, make sure you thank our dear Helicopter Mama. Appreciate you. Seriously, tell the freaking truth already. I'm not here with believing Daniel or Malaya, either one of them, because they are both equally in their own rights lying, self-protecting SOBs. Both of them equally in their own right.
Oh, yeah.
For different
And they're
reasons.
here on social media through their friends, trying to actively recruit people who are easily manipulated. You can see it. People have experienced it. And it's worth mentioning and pointing out. Justin's got a great point.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, Daniel told me the heat seeker actually was able to see a beaver, but also the tracks of the beaver as it was walking. It was that focused on the heat signatures. Next question: where did Daniel store his tools, and did you park your ATV at Justin's house?
Okay, listen to this.
Daniel kept his tools in the porch.
Daniel kept his tools in the porch. So it has to be the front porch, right? The one where he bolted up and put a wrench on the door where it couldn't. And let me say something. That door wasn't shut every night. That thing was permanently shut. That thing was permanently shut. And Daniel broke the damn thing whenever before the RCMP came.
No, I did not keep the ATV at Justin's house. The ATV was somewhere else. Not very far from here.
I might have double recorded this.
Don't tell all the tweakers where it is.
I'm not going to say where.
Maybe
That's
just
fair.
a short clip. Give me a second.
Kids are still alive. And I'll say that to the day I die, or until they're found.
Have you ever seen a black eye on Lily or Jack?
No, I have not. And if they did get black eyes, it was from each other, because I'll tell you something.
You are full of shit, Janie. And this is why I hope God has mercy upon y'all's souls. I'm telling you, because you are lying on a 4 and a 6-year-old who was abused and neglected.
Oh my God, yeah. This part is sobering. You know, special shout out to the teacher who stuck her neck out and went out and brought information to the Globe and Mail for their article and allowing the public into what was really going on in Jack and Lily's life. In that sense, that's such a reliable witness, important. For Janie to go above and beyond and just deny it like it never happened is just such betrayal to humanity.
You couldn't have missed those kids having black eyes. The school didn't, and they missed 40-some days of school. But that's right. You didn't keep pictures of them, right? Because you've seen them all the time. Bet you got pictures of your other grandbabies. You couldn't have missed it. Daniel said they had black eyes all the time. All the time. Piece of garbage.
I used to come in here, even when I babysat them. They're typical kids. When one kid does something and the other kid doesn't agree with it, of course that kid is going to hit the other kid. I've seen Jack pull Lily's hair before. I've seen Jack throw things at Lily.
So ridiculous. House music, Janie's speaking because she doesn't consider herself a suspect. She's really playing up that role. You don't feel sorry for Janie, Robin? She said she could hear everything from her RV, so she knew exactly what was going on. Oh, exactly. She took a shit every time. She was in there every time she needed to use the bathroom. Every time that she needed to get something out of the freezer, fridge. She was around them. It's not like they're complete strangers. She's, on one hand, acting as though, she's not privy to knowing their business, as if she's living in some other premises. She's literally living in their driveway. You couldn't ask for a better point in surveillance on an individual than to just be parked in their driveway and watch them overtly. I mean, you can't help but see and hear everything, to the point where it would annoy the hell out of you. It would be disruptive. It would drive you nuts. There's 3 kids in there. It's going to be loud. You're going to hear things within the trailer because it's insulated poorly. God knows what the hell's going on in there with all of the shit strewn about in the clutter. Are these rages? There's all kinds of tweaking going on at any one time. Well, it is a dog kennel, Broken Goth doll. It may as well be. It doesn't run, it doesn't operate. It doesn't function. It's just a shell, and she's gutted it and put a wood stove in it like a fishing hut.
I've seen Lily do something to Jack, and then Jack would do something to Lily, and then Lily would go cry to her mother and said, Jack did this to me. And Jack.
Okay, that's every kid. That's like every kid on the planet. That doesn't mean they get black eyes all the time.
Snarky Pants, I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
Again, something your son said.
Jack did that to me.
And allegedly, Patty was concerned, allegedly.
Or vice versa. Lily did this to me, or Lily did that to me. They're typical kids. They're 4 and 6 years old. I wasn't there. I wasn't over at Patty's when apparently Lily got her black eye. I don't know what happened.
Bullshit. Janie, you was around those kids every day. How can you say you watched them play outside and watch them dig worms and play in the yard every day and you didn't notice fucking black eyes? And let me tell you something. You could hear in that trailer those kids screaming all the time. Couldn't you, Janie? You could hear them. You could hear them fighting all the time in there. You could hear inside.
Could you imagine not hearing Lily's scream in that sense from Janie's RV? When she's excited? You'd hear that thing inside. You'd hear it all over the place. And, there was fighting going on. I'd have to say nonstop for the amount of time that she spent out there. Say 2 years, 18 months to 2 years. She did get a black eye and saw the kids Wednesday and Thursday, but didn't see a black eye that Daniel said she had. Good observation, Robin Edwards. It just goes to show you these, what she's really doing up there. It doesn't matter. You're trying. People out there asking her questions, trying to find ways into conversation to further talking to Janie. And Janie is up there staunchly denying and twisting back and refuting everything. And walking away claiming that now you know the truth. It's a game to her. She's playing a game. She's not looking to converse with anybody.
Inside the trailer.
When she got her black eye. If it happened over at Patty's, it happened at Patty's.
Hey, AB, thank you for being in here. I was looking for your email last night. Can you email me? I just dropped my email right there. I was looking for it forever. You didn't have it in your about section.
I sent you an email. I sent you an email, big fella.
Thank you.
If I seen any abuse in this house, if I ever seen Malaya or Daniel hit those kids, no, not when I'm around. I have never seen Jack. I have never seen Daniel or Malaya ever hit those kids. I've seen them put in their rooms for being bad.
You're so full of shit. You're full of absolute shit, lady.
Or put in the corner for being bad, but I've never seen them hit those kids.
Still
when I'm around.
I know it's. Listen, when you're talking the ages of 4 and 6, 3 and 5, there is nothing that those kids are going to do to deserve any sort of punishment. Now, I'm sure there might be exceptions, but I couldn't imagine for the life of me thinking about punishing a 3 or 4-year-old or a 5-year-old child. There's certain ways that you handle things, and it's always through communication in love. So at what point in this dysfunction do you get to the point of having to lock kids in their rooms, or for that matter, discipline them for anything when they're bad? What's being bad in that sense? What's being bad exactly? Heaven's sakes. You mean inconveniencing the parent?
Around here. And believe me, I'm in here quite a few times during the day.
What I tell you, I know you're in there quite a few times a day. I know you are, Janie, and I know that. I can't tell you how I know. Well, I have things, Janie. That's all I'll say. That I've never released.
Okay. And what? Okay, so just 1 second. What do you think? Did you hear about Derwood and that Toolbox story?
No, I didn't hear anything about the Toolbox story from Darren. Daniel told me that he was out driving and he came across a toolbox and he picked it up and he took what he wanted out of the tools and he gave the rest to Jordan.
Okay.
I just fell off the back of some truck. These guys went out. Do you believe that nonsense? If anything, he's talking about stealing something. Darren, if that is even a real thing, did that even happen? So stupid. Oh, look at what we found in your fucking shop. A toolbox filled with tools.
So these assholes just find a random toolbox one day in Derwood, or Daniel gives it to Jordan, and out of all the things,
there you go. There you go. That takes a real. That's a real benefit to your Christmas gift. Wow. Jordan, I want you to have these from the bottom of my heart. I've been doing some thinking. I want you to take this set of sockets. It has a 1/2-inch drive on it, bro. I want you to remember me when I'm gone. Have all these tools I just stole.
Talks about this old toolbox in the snow on the side of a hill. Now, Derwood is a liar. That is an absolute provable fact on many things. And
he's I think he's probably treasurer of this Kent Corbett child advocacy group, aka child pedophile ring.
I don't give a damn, because he came in here and he said, you took the bait talking about that toolbox, because he said he would start an auction off at $1,000 if whoever wanted it. I don't care, which I don't think you were joking. I think you were actually found some shame within you. But regardless, you're a sick bastard to even play around
with
a 4 and a 6-year-old's case like that, to say that you'll auction it off and people took the bait. You're a sick fuck for that.
That's the only thing I know about the toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, us too. That's all we've been told, except Derwood kind of, he blamed it on Chrissy, actually, but he came out with a...
Yeah, there wouldn't have happened to be about $84,000 in Jamie's tools, would there have been? Maybe it fell off the car when she was hightailing it out of Peggy's Cove.
A little bit of a larger story about that. Apparently just to bait YouTubers, and I guess a couple of them took the bait, but it was a whole thing. I guess somebody was curious about your thoughts about that. Can Janie speak a little bit about her relationship with Malaya before this happened?
Well, Malaya is a very quiet person, and myself, as you know how I am, I'm very outgoing and very outspoken. So to tell you the truth, when somebody is outspoken and and apparently loud like me,
Yeah,
it's very
that
hard to communicate
crappy red
with
box, yeah.
people that are very quiet and
Toolbox.
soft-spoken. I have friends like that, and
Are you buying any of this shit? Which one is it, Janie? Didn't you want to come across to the world as this quiet person who minds your own business? You're like a hermit back there in your happy little RV camper. Yeah, Janie's voice is scary. Yeah, that's more like it. You're a little bit more outgoing than that. It's very difficult to talk to Malaya when you're bossing her around so much. When you're bullying her.
when I would hang around with them, they would kind of look at me kind of funny, like, but
Can you imagine Janie reading bedtime stories? Right? Once upon a time, this is Grandma gonna read you a bedtime story, honey. Once upon a time, there was 3 little pigs. Grandma here, son Daniel pig, and May May pig. Oink oink, mother chickens.
that's the way I am, and that's the way Malaya was. But I'll tell you something right now. Anita said that I didn't like Malaya because she was half native. I never, ever said that about Malaya. Never.
You know, such a calming voice. She needs to do ASMR. ASMR. Such a calming. Good God, she's always like, I've never done another thing.
Malaya became part of this family, and I accept her as part of this family. But what I thought of Malaya has nothing to do with Jack and Lily.
That's right. And where, I'm not going to ask that.
And the absolute fuck, Janie. The absolute hell, Janie. You are saying Malaya took the kids out, or Malaya's family took the kids. What are you talking about?
For Daniel, like you guys are asking questions for Daniel, and Daniel's not part of this live stream. Maybe in the future, but not today. Where was Janie when her brother called her at 10?
You know, I don't really know who this Anita person is. I really don't know a lot about this Anita person that people are talking about. Probably might be a good thing. I don't know.
19 a.m.
I was out in the yard when he called.
Listen, here we go. I'm gonna bust her.
And your phone was
I
inside
think
the
that-
RV? Or?
Listen to this. Just wait. Here we go. I thought of something, guys, and it's just another thing that's going to show you that Friday was a lie. Friday morning.
And where, I'm not going to ask that question. That's for Daniel. Like you guys are asking questions for Daniel, and Daniel's not part of this live stream. Maybe in the future, but not today. Where was Janie when her brother called her at 10:19 a.m.?
One up here. It's on.
I was out in the yard when he called.
At 10:19, when you're okay. No, AB. No. 10:19, when her brother called. Yeah, okay. Which is past the 911 call, which is you couldn't have searched very long, Janie, if you and had already, because you didn't take your phone, remember? And you say you're out in the yard, and RCMP is showing up right about that time. And Daniel says he's pulling down next to the pond, and he says, which they couldn't see him from there, because he says he couldn't pull up to the yard because it was filled with RCMP. And he says, as soon as I jump out of the car, they have their eyes on me, which is total bullshit. They couldn't see him from the pond down there parked. And he says, don't go in the woods, Daniel. First of all, they couldn't see you. Second of all, you could have parked a lot closer. And third of all, how the hell did they know your name? Onward and upward. We got more.
And your phone was
I
inside
think
the
that.
RV? Or?
No, I was out with Malaya and Meadow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hold on. What? What?
Accept her as part of this family. But what I thought of Malaya has nothing.
Hold on.
And where, I'm not going to ask that question. That's for Daniel. Like, you guys are asking questions for Daniel, and Daniel is not part of this live stream. Maybe in the future, but not today. Where was Janie when her brother called her at 10:19 a.m.?
I was out in the yard when he called.
And your phone was
I
inside
think
the
that.
RV? Or?
No, I was out with Malaya and Meadow.
What did she say right there?
10:19 a.m.
I was out in the yard when he called.
And your phone was
I
inside
think that.
the RV? Or?
No, I was out with Malaya and Meadow.
Okay. So, Janie, so you're saying from that little bit of time from...
Is that what I'm hearing, Cool J? Dan talking in the background to her? Yeah, Trailhacker, I don't think she heard the kids that morning either. It's not a story that's ringing true. Not like we're here trying to determine whether we believe that or not. Like, I think most people are wise to the problems with the story.
You guys were out there searching all that. So Malaya, Daniel goes up the hill, goes to the cabins, comes back down, he says, and gets his... This shows you that it's just all bullshit. And I'm going to show you something here in a minute that's really bullshit. He comes down, gets his... gets the keys on the side of the dresser or whatever, and says, because there's two sets of keys, right? And he says he leaves his phone there, and then he jumps in his car and he searches every cabin or every dirt road, all of this stuff. Goes down Lansdowne Station first, or not Lansdowne, toward his... What's the fucking road? I can't think of it right now. Where the pink blanket is. Turns around and goes up the other way. And then he sees you out behind the house there, right? And Malaya calls at 10 o'clock. 10:01. 10:01. And this is right when you're coming out of the camper the first time. Coming out, right? You haven't started looking yet. And that's when you go back inside, get on your clothes, and then you go behind the house and say you're going to look in that area. So maximum, Janie, maximum, you could have... Let's see here. Let's say it's 10:01 when she's on the phone with 911. Let's give you till 10:05, and that's 4 minutes to get inside, get your clothes on, and then leave your phone there, and then go back behind the house and start searching, and then you see Daniel, right? And you say, no, I'm going to continue searching back here, right? Okay. So you had couldn't have searched more than 12, 13 minutes at max, because you would have had to have come back to your home, go in your camper and get your phone and be standing straight out with Malaya and your brother call. But I'm not done yet, because I thought of something else that all three of you have said since day one. And I'm going to show you that it's complete bullshit what you guys are saying. I'm going to show you.
Do it first.
Yep. The fact that she is
Yeah, that was my comment. Janie, when I tuned in, Janie was telling everybody, in other words, how important Danny was to Jack and Lily in their life, and how much of a loving father he was, and that he's always going to be a part of that in this sense. She's still like, it's so hard to watch Janie put people through that. It's hard to listen to Janie lie and go on. Sioux Oilers. Danny wasn't searching, just making sure he didn't drop any evidence, in your opinion, Robin? Yeah, noted. I hear you. Friends, it's 2:44, 2 hours, 44 minutes. Please go in and tune in to the rest of Justin's live stream. It was a long one. I think it was 4.5 hours. Oh, Miss Bartman, thanks for showing up. No, it wasn't a very entertaining one. There's just some things that I was watching. I was very interested in telling you how much I love Deception Detective after, getting to know statement analysis a lot better, not only from Peter Hyatt, but through Mike DeMann. Now Deception Detective's solid AF too. Yeah, he's got a really good sense of humor, but he's got some really interesting on-target stuff when it comes to the direct source. Yeah, just a clapping seal. I got to go out. We're going to go make some Easter Monday dinner together. My daughter's getting uptight. Need to spend some time with her. She's battling for my attention. Anyway, it's Monday. It's a holiday here. Miss Bartman, you're harding it hard, or you're finding it hard listening to YouTubers listening to Janie get befriended by robo-mods. Robo-mods. Oh, robo-mods. That's funny stuff. Said hi. That's some funny stuff. You know what it's all about, Miss Bartman. The only conspiracy at foot is to make the people that are so obviously guilty in this look less innocent to a greater group of people. You don't even have to focus or worry about it too much. Nothing's changed. The problem is still the last 3 people that saw Jack and Lily alive, sadly. And we're victims to their games. We're willing participants. It's part of it. They're engaged. It's hard not to cover it. People will justify whatever. It's not right or it's not wrong. If you're going to go gonzo, if you're going to be taking a certain role, you have to really get into the character of believing everything that you're hearing. You've got to block everything else out and just solely suck it all in. I could never, ever, nor would I ever want to do that with people like Janie or anybody in a situation where there's 2 missing kids like this. And like all of you, the truth and the reality of the situation is far more intriguing to all of the garbage information that they're there ready to feed you at any one point in time. Well, this is an obvious situation, and a lot of people are finding it, or maybe they're impatient in that sense, because when things are so obvious, people should have cuffs on. But again, every situation's different, isn't it? They're not escaping justice by any means. Meeting Daniel, Malaya, and Janie. It comes back to simply the suspects lying at every step of the way. It's just a matter of time before the case builds against them, before the detectives have information that they don't necessarily want the detectives to be wary of or question them on. And when it goes down, it's going to go down at one time, and it's going to be quick. And it's going to be some of the most fantastic interview content available on YouTube today. And it's not going to be because Danny's wearing his tap out t-shirt or his gold chain or his crazy orange Adidas sneakers. It's going to be because of the content in of itself, the situation that Danny and Malaya and Janie are going to find themselves in, that they're so desperately trying to avoid, that they're lying for around. Thank you, Trail Hiker. I have to encourage you all not to lose faith, and not lose faith in the investigation process in that sense. It could hurry up. I agree with you. But don't confuse that with the RCMP not caring about Jack and Lily, not eager to solve it, or there's some sort of problem. There's always going to be problems with corruption and rogue officers, but it doesn't have anything to do with this give me situation. It has nothing to do with this particular case. And it's far too premature to get yourself wrapped up in that sense. So I'm going to see all of you guys back here tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out for some uploads along the way. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you guys are thinking about Janie's latest statements. Not really that interesting. It's the same old. But it's so funny to hear what you guys have to say about her. Lay it down. But I'll see you back tomorrow, guys. Thank you very much.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.